Well, hi there. Good morning. Happy Tuesday, May 26, 2020. It's time for Pondering. That's right, the show where we ponder all things. And I, of course, am your host. Yes, Joel Rissinger, with a little bit of campfire throat left over from the weekend. Pondering is a show where we ponder things, then we talk about them, and there are no holds barred. All topics are welcome. We look at money, politics, sex, religion, family, kids, whatever it is, and we do it from an unabashedly, unashamedly, and unapologetically Christian perspective, Monday through Friday, from 7:30 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's great to be with you. And you guys are awesome. We appreciate you. Good morning, Pastor Jim. Good morning, Susie. Jim says I look slick. Yes, I have the greaser look today. And I just want to say a big thank you to the Ponderers. You guys are such a loyal audience and such great people and such great participants. So this is for you. There we go. Round of applause. Thinking about that on the weekend. That's right. That's right. Adulation. I was thinking about how much I appreciate you. You guys are great. We wouldn't do the show without you, and it's just really wonderful to know that you're here. And I, took yesterday off because of the holiday, and it was a little weird not doing Pondering, honestly, even though I was up in the woods. But I hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend, and I hope you did get to think about the meaning of the day. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Good morning to Ed. Great to have you aboard. Listen, folks, if you are listening to us on any one of multiple podcast venues, I know we've had listeners as far away as Zambia and Namibia, and we welcome you guys. You can participate by typing into the live stream while we're on the air at the Pondering Radio page of Facebook. You can also post comments there around the clock, 24/7. You can also email us, ponderingradio@gmail.com. Love hearing from you, ponderingradio@gmail.com. And if you're so inclined, you may call and leave a voice message if we're not in. That number is 860-500-7163, 860-500-7163, and it would be great. Great to have your input. I remember that movie Short Circuit about the robot that comes alive, and he constantly is saying, input, and he reads, encyclopedias in seconds. And yeah, I wish I could do that. Wouldn't that be great? Anyway, I digress. It's great to have you all aboard. So, listen, I hope you had a great Memorial Day. I know that was yesterday, but I just want to take a moment. I saw something this morning on Facebook that my cousin posted, and I don't think I had seen it before. I mean, I knew the story, but I hadn't seen the picture. My Uncle Lloyd Rissinger was one of the first foot soldiers to help free prisoners and conquer one of the concentration camps in Germany. In fact, one of the first ones, I think it was the first one that was delivered and liberated. And there was a picture of a boxcar where they probably had brought in Jewish prisoners and others. And the soldiers that helped conquer this place and, again, set the captives free wrote their names on the boxcar. And we could see where my uncle had written me with an arrow and pointed to his name where he had signed Lloyd Rissinger and the date. And it just choked me up a bit to think about. And I'll probably blog about this, but as a preview to that, I will tell you that is an image that to me is what it makes. It's a symbol of what makes America so great. People get offended now, which is amazing when you think about it. People get offended by the "Make America Great Again" caps that President Trump used in his campaign. MAGA hats, as they're called. Somehow "Make America Great Again" has become an offensive, and some places even consider it a racist thing or inciting violence. And there have been places that have banned the hats. You can't wear one here. Understanding, I guess a little bit I do, the perspective of the proprietors, those that own those facilities or run them. They don't want a riot on their hands. But isn't it sad that the concept of making America great again could somehow be bad, considered a negative or something that's divisive or causing trouble. I've heard people argue against it, saying America was never great, so how can we make it great again? A few people have said, well, why should we make it great again? It's already great, but that's not very common. The sort of the wave in our country based on the education system, what our kids are being taught, the history revisionism that's going on in some of our public schools, is that America is the problem in the world. America needs to be brought down. Of course, this is all part of the globalist one world order agenda to have one big giant country, which those of us that read Bible prophecy would suggest that's probably something that has to happen before the end of the age, and it won't be good when it happens. Not good for Christians, at least. It won't be good for anybody, really. But you can't have a superpower in that situation. You got to knock that down a notch or 3 or 12, so that you can all come together on equal negative, by the way, impoverished, by the way, footing, and atheistic footing or socialistic footing as well. And so, anyhow, all that to say that what I see when I look at that picture of that boxcar, and I may post it later, so keep an eye out for it. But what I see is why America is great. Here is the son of German immigrants who came to this country for freedom. And I say son, grandson probably, or great-grandson, because it was not my grandfather, my uncle's father, but probably great-great-grandfather who came here. But nonetheless, German, came here, bought land, was able to have a farm and have this free life of being able to raise a family and have space and play baseball and hunt and fish and do all these things they love to do while making a living off the land. And he signs up, go and fight to defend that freedom, to fight for this country and what it stood for against his own people, nationally, ethnically, the Germans, and is used by God, along with others, to set Jewish people of God, the children of God, right, Israel, free from a concentration camp. Now, in order for those events to happen, there has to be a basis of freedom, of understanding of liberty and grace, understanding of truth and the Word of God. There has to be a biblical foundation for a nation to be even willing to do that and be able to do that. And when we talk about making America great again, it's getting back to those values, back to that exceptionalism. Not that America's better because the people are better innately. That's not the point. That's not what we're saying. It's not a racist thing as it's been portrayed. It's more because of the biblical foundation and principles the country was founded on, we're exceptional, and that we would go and fight a war and set captives free, even by fighting our own people of our own ethnic national background, as my uncle did. He was a sniper. There are stories of him taking out snipers, German snipers, and then seeing the person and looking at their wallet, and seeing their family and weeping because, these were kindred. These were Germans like us, and he had just killed one. And it was hard on him. It broke him. He had nervous disorders and ultimately died of one many years later. But in order to have the foundation and the guts and the strength and the willingness to do all that, there has to be a principle of freedom and truth that you stand on, and our nation did, somewhat still does, although we're tearing ourselves apart, partially against it, partially for it. The nation's divided over that. But it's President Trump's desire to get back to that greatness, that exceptionalism, that attitude that, not that we're innately better, but our principles are better. The Word of God that's the foundation of the very Constitution that we're founded on is better. The Constitution itself is the most miraculous, amazing document in the history of policy and politics, the history of the world, really, in terms of governments. and self-governing people. That concept is just, it was world changing. It is life changing. So those that died fight for that and to maintain that and to celebrate that and to stand on that are worthy of honor. And my Uncle Lloyd Rissinger is one of those. So hope you had a great weekend. Hope it was fun, but I also hope you remembered those battles and that fight. And that America really is great, and she should be great again. She should recapture those things she stood on, and that the greatest generation, as they were called, stood on. And President Trump's desire is to do that, and I applaud him for it. And I think, unfortunately, those who do not understand the value of what we have. You know, our ability to grill hot dogs and chill and do whatever we want to do is, well, was bought and paid for by great men and women who understood American exceptionalism. So there you have my thoughts for the day and for the weekend. Hope you had a chance to meditate on some of that yourself. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Jean Marie, Fred. Good morning. As always, great to see you guys. So I'd love to hear about your weekend. We had a great time. We were camping at Nickerson Family Campground, which is a Christian-owned campground near Ashford. It's actually technically Chester, Connecticut. And my buddy from junior high, it's really amazing because we've stayed in touch through the years and reconnected a few years ago. Roger Wolf and his wife and his daughter at one point came over. We had a nice dinner at the campsite. And no, we did not socially distance. We did not wear masks, I will confess. So there you go. We are rebels of, I don't know, rebels without a cause. Maybe we have a cause. I don't know. But we had a wonderful time. And she's a nurse, by the way, so just, understands a lot of what I've said. I've ran some things by them from what I've said on the air here. No argument from her. Stuff is just way out of proportion right now. She serves in a nursing home that hasn't had a single case, not a single case of COVID-19. So that's great. But we had a really nice dinner the other night. Did some fishing. Caught a fish. Addie caught a fish. Addie caught it. Little tiny fish, and we ended up putting it in a bucket of water and carrying it around for a little while, and then releasing it back into the stream. And oh my goodness, my granddaughters were just thrilled with that. That was the event of the year, I think, to have that little fish for a while. Pictures of him, everything else. So we camped right on the edge of the river, which was nice, so we could swim a little bit. It's cold, but we waded around, I guess is a better way to put it. And fished and threw rocks and all that fun stuff you do. Had campfires. Weather was a bit chilly at night. We were able to, thankfully our beds in the camper have a heated mattress, so you can plug it in. It radiates heat, and that helps. Plus, we had the space heater inside, and we had a full electric hookup, so we could do that. So we stayed comfortable and really had a nice time, and we're back in the saddle now once again. But if you did something exceptional or special on the weekend that made it really memorable, I'd love to hear about it. I know there were no parades, unfortunately, and all of that, but perhaps you had a chance to reflect and enjoy that over the weekend. Maybe you have a family member like my Uncle Lloyd that you remembered or that you talked about with others. Love to hear about that. If you had someone that fought and died in one of the wars, or maybe they didn't die, but they came home with baggage and hurts that ultimately led to their passing, as Uncle Lloyd's, I think that was his case. But yeah, love to hear about that. And you can mention them by name here if you'd like to type it into the live stream. Again, you can do that. You can email ponderingradio@gmail.com. You can call 860-500-7163. However, whatever floats your boat. John Kelly's here. Good morning, John. Great to have you. I'm going to send you a little wave here. Welcome aboard, my friend. So, yeah, this week, it's the last week of May. Unbelievable. absolutely unbelievable. I just can't get over how fast time seems to be flying by. Some of the facilities that I serve as a chaplain have reopened, or partially so. So I will be doing some visiting this week, which is great to get out and see some of the folks and encourage them a little bit. I will also, on the week, we'll be having our live service on the weekend. Wednesday night, we'll be doing our last chapter of Colossians in preparation to start the book of 2 Corinthians in June, the first Monday in June, which I think is the first. So if you'd like to be part of that, you can send an email to Joel at lifewaych.com, Joel at lifewaych.com, and I'll send you a link so you can zoom in and zoom with us right through the book of 2 Corinthians here, starting, just in what? About a week or so now. Wow, that's amazing. Coming up quick. So we're working on all that. And of course, as far as Lifeway Church is concerned, you can find out more at lifewaych.com, but we have, even with the shutdown, we have a full suite of services. 2 services Sunday morning, 9:30 and 11:15 a.m. Broadcast on Facebook, also off the lifewaych.com website. You can get the live streaming of the service, worship music, the whole shebang. And you can also see it on YouTube, the Lifeway Church YouTube channel. We're having meetings this week talking about reopening, so I know people have asked us about that. I don't yet know when, but we're talking about how we can reopen safely. We know the president did make a statement that churches are essential and should open, and we agree. He didn't, as I've seen since, clarification didn't mean that as a thou shalt open immediately statement, but rather it was, and I understood this right from the start because I know the politics behind it, it was in reaction to the governor of Michigan, I believe it is, and others, there are others, she's not alone, who have continued to ban, in essence, church services, or tell them they could reopen, but only with 10 or 15, up to 50 people, some have said. And I think it was her who said, you can't sing. We're going to come and worship with masks on, but even with the masks on, we can't sing, so we can, I guess, lip sync. Maybe we could do a Milli Vanilli worship, I don't know. But in response to some of that, frankly, silliness, he said, no, they're essential. Stop the bans. Let's go. And we're looking at that, and the question is, how and when, because we realize that if we opened tomorrow, or next Sunday, there'd be a lot of hugging going on, and so we need to be prepared for that reality, because despite the best efforts we might have to mask folks or get rid of rows and arrange the seating and put signs up everywhere and have lots of dispensers of, the hand sanitizer and all that stuff. Reality is there's going to be a lot of hugging going on, and probably not much social distancing despite our best efforts. So we have to be in a place where people know that, recognize that we're taking every precaution, but there's still a risk. We have to know that people are going to show up, because some won't, because they're afraid still. And if you watch the 6 o'clock news for more than 10 minutes, you're going to be terrified. Convinced that you'll trip over bodies in your yard if you step out the front door. But we have to get through that and make the best decision on the timing possible. So pray for us if you would. We're looking at those things this evening, in the meeting, and throughout the week. Susie says she went by a cemetery in Middletown, choked up seeing so many flags. Yeah, for all the veterans. Wore a tank top all day with a sweatshirt over it. Yeah, I know. It was weird. It started out, we had some decent weather, but it was still chilly. Nighttime, we got down like 45 one night. That's pretty cold, when you're camping. I don't know. It's just weird weather. Yesterday we thought was going to be nice. We woke up to rain. Today it's supposed to be up to 80, and it's real cloudy now and misty and not real warm. So who knows? And Susie's celebrating the fact that churches are essential. Yes, woohoo is right. So we'll be getting back to you as far as Lifeway is concerned. But for those of you who may be far away, um, or just concerned about not reopening too soon or taking risks, we will continue the live stream. We'll continue the online ministry. We'll continue the Zoom life groups. We'll continue all that stuff even after we're fully open, because we've realized there are a lot of people we're able to touch and connect with that we just wouldn't any other way. So we're going to continue down that path. And we've learned a lot. And frankly, we've invested a lot into equipment to do it right, do it well. If you've seen the services, and if you haven't, you can still go to the Lifeway Church YouTube channel. You can still go to lifewaych.com. Even the Facebook page, I think, archives some of those videos. You can go back and watch the services. And I think the quality of the music, the quality of the presentation has notched up each week as we add to the equipment, as we get used to the editing process, as we learn what works and what doesn't work. And we don't have to do 11 takes of a song to get it right, you know what I mean? So there's some stuff that's changed for the better, and we'll probably continue that while, even once we've reopened. We were doing that before COVID. I don't know what you mean, Suze. Doing what before COVID? We were live streaming, but not like this. Not with all the other accoutrements, and certainly not with the equipment and the quality of the camera angles and the different cameras now that we have that are set up to capture things and edit them. We didn't have the editing equipment we have now. The Zoom, yes, right. We did Zoom before COVID. We've just added to that suite of offerings because more life groups are using Zoom now than were before. So you're right. Our life group was doing Zoom before because, of course, Susie and I are very advanced. That's why. Yes. We're techno gurus, the two of us. Therefore, we could Zoom in our group, but she hosts and I teach. We could Zoom before and pull it off. Jean Marie says, rainy all week in North Carolina. Oh, my gosh. And I don't know. That's sad. Huh? That's sad. Tom Hansen's down there. Well, he's South Carolina. But, we'll have to pick on him later about, moving north to get to the decent weather. So, back in the saddle. I assume most everybody's back to work in some form or fashion, or will be soon. I'm glad to see that. Glad to see restaurants opening. I'm glad to see some changes occurring along those lines. I know there's still a lot of fear being stirred up and a lot of negativity in the media. But listen, stay focused on the reality that God's in charge here, no matter what. I mean, I'm not suggesting we be foolish, but on the other hand, I will tell you that evidence seems to suggest that some of what we've done has been over the top. And our zeal to protect ourselves, we've actually damaged ourselves. I don't just mean economically, although that's a big deal. Emotionally, socially, mentally, in other ways. So we need to approach things with balance, and I think we can do that as we go forward. Susie says, I know how to turn my computer on now. Yeah, that's the great advancement we made technologically, is we both know how to turn on the laptop and actually start Zoom so that we can have one of those meetings. If you've never done Zoom, I highly recommend it. I think it's wonderful. It's the next best thing to being in the room. You can see people's faces. We can chat back and forth. You can have meetings with dozens of people if necessary. In our case, we run about 12 or so per meeting on a Wednesday night at 7 p.m. And we'll be moving to Monday nights at 7 on the 1st of June. So if you do want to join us, as I said, send a note, joel@lifewaych.com. We will send you a link, and all you do Monday night at 7 is click that link, and boom, you're in there. And what we do in those studies is we go verse by verse through the book and talk about what it means and how it impacts us and how to apply it. I feel like that's I don't want to say a lost art. I think it's a lost passion in the church today and even, of course, outside the church, where somehow we think the Bible's kind of, I don't know, it's passe, or we like to pick and choose what we use in the Bible. So we kind of proof text. We make statements and then we prove them with different verses. And we do that in our studies. We do that in our own personal Bible study and devotional time. And I think that's, hey, it's better than nothing. I'm glad for that. But I think there's real power in being able to go line by line in context, talk about the author, talk about the audience, talk about the setting, talk about what it meant to them and what they were doing with what's being said and taught, and then taking it forward to today and saying, now, what does this mean to us? What do we do with it? I feel like there's just so much richness in that. And frankly, probably everybody in the group gets something out of it, different out of it. I don't mean because of, we're interpreting it on our own. I mean that there's something that applies differently to each one of us, and we can take it home and go, yeah, this is good. I'm going to do that. And I hope that's true for every single time we meet. But if you'd like to take part in that, as I said, send a note to joel@lifewaych.com, and we'll get you plugged in. And not for this week, finishing up Colossians. It'd be kind of silly to just get the last chapter. But for next Monday night, starting the book of 2 Corinthians, written by the Apostle Paul in about 55 or so AD. All right, I think we're good, and I think we're out of time. So it's been good, guys, getting back in the saddle, back together again. We'll be once again joining you tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Let's spread the word about pondering. Tell your friends, neighbors. I know it's hard to walk up to complete strangers now with a mask on because they don't know whether you're going to rob them or just save them from COVID-19. But hey, let people know about the show. Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the more, the merrier. Let's get them in here. Let's invite them to join us. And until we see you tomorrow morning, stay in the Word and keep praying. Do not check your brain at the door. Do not accept the sound bites at face value. Think it through. Keep on pondering. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.